Here's what I started with. The tub had a basic 2x6 construction base, and we had applied sheetrock on top because I was originally going to tile it. But I decided after thinking about it and looking at it for a while, I wanted a solid surface look. So it appeared to be all one solid thick slab instead of segmented tile with grout. I knew I had to build out the sides to give it a board and batten look using as thin of pieces as possible. So I decided on 1x3s on the sides. So that kind of determined that I needed to use a 1x2 to give that same 3/4 inch depth piece around the side. So I attached that so it would appear to be a very thick slab on top. After that, I primed everything, and I did notice a few gaps. So I grabbed my really durable texture stone and plastered in the gaps to give me a good surface to begin my Microcement Meteore. This is what the texture stone base looks like. Okay, this is going to be the sample board for the tub surround finish that I'll be applying. I'll show you all the steps on the sample board and also as I go along on the tub surround. The first thing that I'm going to do, I'm just kind of doing this messy, is use my shark tooth primer. It's a gritty primer that's gonna grab onto pretty much any kind of plaster. It just creates a really good bond. And when you trowel it trowels on nice and even. So I'm just gonna quick roll this on fast to this MDF board. Usually for wall finishes, I just use a flimsier sample board, but when I do plaster samples, I like at least a 1/8 inch sample board. And usually one coat is sufficient. On my bathroom walls, I had already used a drywall primer on the brand new walls, and then I went over it with the shark tooth. And I know you can't see the grit because it's very, very fine, but you feel it when you're troweling on it. So it is an important step. So we'll let that dry and I'll show you the next step. Okay, this is the next plaster I'll be using. It's called Meteore. It's by Valpaint, an Italian plaster that's specifically made for damp areas like shower stalls, tub surrounds, kitchen counters. It actually can be put right on top of a laminate counter and still adhere well. It comes with a 2-part epoxy sealer, and it's an amazing product. I've never wanted to do countertops for clients before with epoxies because I never felt like they would last to the expectations of the client. I feel all epoxies, no matter who makes them, will yellow over time slightly. And the trend for the last several years, and I think for a few years to come, has been white or whitish countertops. So the epoxy just, to me, wasn't worth taking the chance. But this, I'm going to be tinting to a dark gray for the tub surround. I do have a friend that teaches how to use this product, and she did her own counters in a navy and a very light cream and sealed them right over the laminate, and they turned out amazing. So I'm going to show you how I tint them. I use golden fluid acrylics. I'm going to use Van Dyke brown and black to create a warm gray. If you just use black, you end up with kind of a bluish gray. So it's kind of going to be a trial and error how much I put in. I'm going to stir it and sample it. And if I like the color, I'll stir it again before application. Okay, so I'm going to scrape the sides, dirt a little more, and I'll show you the sample when it dries and decide if I like the color or not. Hey y'all! Just kidding. I'm totally not from the South. I'm from Wisconsin, so our greeting is hey there, hey. You saw me prime this sample board, and I had technical difficulties with my camera. When I did the first layer of plaster, I just troweled on a layer of texture stone, as I said, to fill in some of the gaps around the tub. So I did it also on the sample board. Now I'm going to be using Meteore from Valspar. It's Italian made plaster, specifically for water damp areas. And I'm gonna trowel it on my sample board, and then I'm gonna start troweling on the real project. So I have it tinted now to the right color, and I'm gonna load my trowel. Just start spreading it on. Super easy to use. If you were doing a countertop, you could actually roll on the first coat, and as long as you have it clean and there's directions with it, it'll bond without using a primer. So pretty amazing product. Not too many like this out there. And I've been doing decorative painting and plastering for, I don't know, I say 16 years, it may be longer. Today is my 50th birthday, thus t-shirt reveal. Not that I'm going to celebrate it, because it's not like really exciting to turn a half a century old, but it is what it is. I'm using a Japanese trowel, a little thin one. This is, as you've probably seen from my videos, my go-to trowel, unless I'm using a heavy, really heavy plaster, like a lime plaster. But these give you so much control. You can buy them right on Amazon. They're called Japanese trowels. So there's going to be 2 layers. First layer, you just want to get it on smooth. So that's it. I'm going to let it dry. I wanted to show you, so this is kind of the standard size. I went a little bit bigger when I do larger walls. And isn't this cute? The cutest little baby one. And I actually think I'm going to use this around the tub because I have to get like under the tub. So it's really good for little corners and tiny areas. So we'll be back and show you the next step. Okay, so I'm actually going to be applying the Meteore plaster, which really is a Microcement, again for humid or wet surfaces. So it's going to be the surround of the tub. I'm doing a medium gray. I already did the back and side because, trust me, you didn't want to watch me do that. I kind of was ass over tea kettle back there. So I'll show you a little bit of the front. First I'm going to do the side. I'm using my baby trowel that I showed you on the sample board. And this goes on, it's a little gritty, but it goes on like butter. It's beautiful to trowel. And it can be tinted any color. You could do, like my friend did navy countertops. You could do black, would be cool. You can do white. I mean, your imagination is the limit. I do the sides first. As it starts setting up, I can come back and clean up this edge, and I'm going to be putting trim underneath here, so I can always sand it if some of the aggregate gets in the way. But it's easier to do the side first and then the top. First, I didn't put a drop cloth down, because that's how I roll. Okay, so that's a good section on the side. I always, anytime you plaster, if you haven't plastered anything, if you're right-handed, you want to work left to right because you want to work into the wet plaster. And the tub is not in its final resting place. It's several inches up right now, so I just need to squeeze underneath there the best I can, and then it's going to overlap it quite a bit. When you do the sides up against the wall, or if you're on a wall, you're going wall to wall, you want to hold your trowel almost flat and push down and get that seam nice and flat. And then the rest is easy. And then you can see it's over a little bit. And like I said, as it sets up, I can come up and clean that edge up. This is where some of the contrast is coming in the room. So far I have really a lot of color choices, but it was all part of the plan. The walls, the floor, the woodwork are all going to be very neutral. And this is neutral too, but it's going to create contrast. And I'll have some pops of color with the art and accessories. You will see me going back and forth a little bit, but in the end you're going right to left. Well, working left to right, but finishing right to left. Do as I say, not as I do, and use a drop cloth. Okay, this first layer is set up for like 15-20 minutes, and one option you can do it to the first coat and the second coat, or just the second coat, but I want to show you. This is just a fine mister bottle. You can get these on Amazon. They're super fine, so you don't get big water droplets, and it's probably not going to show in the video, but there's some trowel lines and stuff. So you just spray a little bit, and because it's a microcement, it kind of brings like a cream to the top, just like regular cement will do. So it allows you to compress and smooth out the Meteore. Gives you a really kind of a polished, smooth finish. Really easy, and it really makes a difference. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that step real quick. I'll go off camera and finish the tub. Okay, I'm back to my sample. This first coat of Meteore Microcement has dried overnight, or 24 hours, and I'm going to put my second coat on, and then I'm going to let it dry about 20 minutes and try something that I have an idea. We'll see how it works on the sample before I do it on the real project. be back in 20 minutes. Okay, so this is dry enough, but still wet and malleable to start burnishing it, which means just pressing with your trowel, kind of compresses it, removes other trowel marks, gives some interest. Okay, and here's what I want to try. I mixed some mica powder, pearl, 1 teaspoon with about 1/2 of fine mister bottle of water. And while this plaster is still setting and curing, some of the cream will rise to the top. This is a super fine mister. I'm gonna give it a really good coat. I'll give it one more mist. And I'm gonna let it dry and we'll see how the mica looks when it's dry. In the meantime, I started building out the side of the tub with the 1x3s to create my board and batten look. I'll show you how I start applying the trim. Okay, I'm getting ready to put the top coat on the Meteore Microcement around my tub. That's from Novacolor in Italy. I may have misspoke earlier and called it an epoxy because it's a 2-part product, but it's actually a 2-part urethane. So I wanted to clear that up. There's a part A and a part B. This is the Novacolor part A. of the urethane, and you want to give it a good stir because it may have settled on the shelf or in shipping. Do not use a paddle mixer. You don't want to introduce any bubbles, but make sure it's stirred. It does have quite a strong smell to it. This is the part B. Everything's in Italian. So I'm going to tell you it's 10 parts of A to 3 parts of B. I believe they packaged it to be mixed together as one batch, but I don't think I need that much, so I'm going to mix my own. So I'm going to do 30 ounces of part A. So that's 3 times 10 to 9 ounces of part B. That would be 3 times 3. So 30 to 9, which is 10 to 3. And that's basically everything. So I'm scrapping that idea and I'm just mixing it all. It'll be more than I need. It has a 2-hour pot life once it's mixed. You want to roll it on with a short nap roller or a mohair roller. Okay, so that's part A. Part B, again, you don't want to really shake it. You can slowly agitate it a little bit, but you don't want to introduce bubbles. Yeah, they had this exactly measured to basically what I wanted. So after 2 hours, this batch will be unusable. So as soon as I get this stirred up, I'm going to have to get in there and put the first coat on. And then you wait 60 minutes and put the second coat on. It needs to be stirred really well, scraping the sides, scraping the bottom, incorporating everything, again, without introducing air. Does have a pretty strong odor, so make sure you're well ventilated. I have drop cloths down. I already have my area prepared, taped around my edges, so I can just roll it on. Just like any 2-part product, you just really, I don't want to bore you, but it needs to be mixed really well. All right, so I'm going to finish mixing this. I'm going to put it in my roller pan. I have my mohair ready, and I'll meet you in the bathroom by the tub. Okay, this is a weird angle, and it's a little echoey for the sound. And again, the lighting's not great, but I'm going to start in the corner, so excuse my weird position to get this started. The mohair is really nice because it'll give you a nice edge right up to the tape, so I don't need to cut it in. Had to be pretty much of an acrobat working on this top, going around this dumb tub. So like most clear coats, it'll go on a little bit milky and it's gonna dry. This is satin, and I believe it comes in a satin or a semi-gloss finish. I think semi-gloss would be gorgeous over white. I wanted the satin over this gray because I kind of wanted a concrete microcement look. And let me tell you, this stuff is, this Meteore Microcement is tough as nails. I actually sanded a few spots with 100 grit on with my Festuo sander, which would just bite into wood. I mean, you could shave wood with 100 grit with the Festuo, and it barely touched the stuff. So that was quite a test, and I was really impressed with the strength and durability of it. So it would definitely stand up to just about anything. If you used it in your kitchen, on your kitchen counters. As soon as I'm done with this coat, I'm actually gonna quickly wash my mohair roller out with soap and water and spin it dry, and probably even blow dry it so it's really dry. I don't want any water introduced into the second coat. But if you leave it in the product like you would paint, it's gonna harden. So again, extremely hard, durable, waterproof surface. So when I'm in my soaker tub, I can have a glass of red wine, and if I spill it, not a big deal. Just saying, not that I will. Not that I won't drink wine, I won't spill it. I have all my wood protected here with paper. Okay, so I'll put this back in my sealed container and I'll go wash this out. I'll do the second coat and I won't make you have to watch that. And when it's all done, I'll show you how it looks when it's all dry. In the meantime, I built this access panel for the end of the tub, so at any time we need to access the functionality of the tub, we can. The towel bar is both going to be decorative and also allow us to pull it off and put it back on. And here's a video as I pan along the final look after I applied the second coat, and it's dry now, and I removed all the tape. Love, love, love how it looks. It looks like a 1.25 inch solid concrete slab, one piece. There's the towel bar for the access panel. Here's a close-up of the microcement and a few views of the room. All that needs to be done are holes drilled for the faucet for the tub, and here's a vanity I stripped and created, cut a hole in the top, so that plumbing still needs to be hooked up, but I pretty much did every inch of the room myself, and I'm very happy with it. For this video, mostly, oh, here's a shelf. I added some decorative pegs on. Love how that looks. Some art I created. Here's the tile I did in a different video. It's all plaster. But the microcement edge turned out exactly how I envisioned it, and I absolutely love it. So definitely give the Meteore a try in your own home, and I'll put a link in the description. Just want to thank you all for watching, and I really hope I inspired you to try something like this. The channel's Paint and Create, and I would love it if you leave some comments and make sure you hit the subscribe button to see more videos.